Welcome back to another video, guys. Thanks for coming and checking this one out. I'm answering a question today that is probably the most asked question that I get, and it's about knife sharpening. So I've had a ton of people request a video on sharpening a knife start to finish on the belt grinder. And if you guys have followed along on this channel for long enough, you know that I use the paper wheel system for pretty much all my sharpening, which if you don't know what that is, it's basically a round MDF wheel with grit on one side. The other wheel has kind of a polishing compound on it, and it's super fast, and it goes on your bench grinder. I'll put a video probably right up here of kind of my process of sharpening on that. Now, there is some downfalls probably to every sharpening system, but for me, using that grit wheel, they wear out fast, especially when kind of putting on secondary bevels on fresh new knives. You're removing a lot of material and it just wears out fast. You have to regrit them, you have to replace them, and it gets kind of old. So I think that a really, really good thing as a knife maker, or just anybody in general that wants a good sharp knife, is to know how to grind and sharpen a knife with a belt grinder. Now, today I'm using my 2x72 KMG TX grinder, and it has a VFD, which, you can adjust the speed of it and get it really slow. I think that is really important with this. If you have a normal grinder that doesn't slow down, I think it can probably still be done. You're just gonna have to pay more attention to the heat buildup than what I do with this. So I think what I wanted to talk about most is, getting that secondary bevel put on, which, your primary bevel would be that. Your secondary bevel would be actually the edge of the knife, and then I guess that's the best way to explain it. So getting that secondary bevel put on with the belt grinder and then polishing that edge to make it just razor sharp. So that's what I'm going to talk about today, my process of it, and come along with me, and I'm going to kind of do it as I go and explain it. All right, so I wanted to kind of explain a little bit about what you're going to need to do this. What I've been doing a lot recently is I've been putting that secondary bevel on with this belt grinder, and then as soon as I've got a good burr pulled up, I go over to the paper wheel system, do a final one on the grit, and then a polish, and that works great. But for this video, I really wanted to do every step of it on this belt grinder. And I struggled with it in the past because what happens is you pull that burr up with whatever grit you're using. For me, it's a 400, and there's not a good belt to be able to really polish that burr off until I did a little bit of research and I found these leather stropping belts. Okay, and I just got this one and I've been tinkering with it a little bit. And basically it's just a piece of leather and a belt. This one's obviously a 2x72. They make them in every size you'd want. I'm gonna go ahead and put a link in the description for one of these belts, because I think without this, there is other ways to polish that burr off, but I think this is the best, fastest, easiest way. And so far it's produced just an incredible edge. So this is key. Again, link below for one of these things. Go pick one up for whatever size grinder you're running. But I like to use two different belts to get that secondary bevel put on. So I start with 180 grit. It's actually this one. And that's a Red Label Abrasive ceramic 180 grit, and then a 400 grit once I have that initial secondary bevel put on. And I'll even get to where it's pretty much pulled a burr up with the 180, and then I go to the 400 and kind of refine it just a little bit, and then you can go right to that leather strapping belt. So I'm gonna go ahead. This is just a junk knife I have laying around that it was a Damascus one that has a little crack in it. We're gonna go ahead and just put an edge on this and show you guys my process here. This edge is at roughly 25 thousandths, which is kind of a good example to show you guys kind of the speed of this. And I'm gonna just kind of change the camera around, put it over here, show you my process, and hopefully you guys can pick up a couple tips. All right, so we're over at the belt grinder right now. Like I said, 180 grit belt on right now. And I think it takes a little bit of practice to get this down as far as your angle. And you're just gonna have to get out and do it a little bit to try to figure out what angle you wanna sharpen at. Now, I think the key to this whole thing is consistency and making sure, like you can kind of see here, get up to the grinder and feel what's comfortable before you turn it on, and make sure that both sides you're doing are the same angle, you know, as close as you can possibly get it. That's key. And also, don't ever try to do it edge up like this, because your grinder can grab it and it'll throw it into your foot or whatever. So don't do that. So we're gonna turn the grinder on, like I said, really slow. I run it on about 10 or 15% power. And man, that crack is right in there really good, but it shouldn't affect what we're doing today, at least showing this. And I'm gonna go ahead and set that secondary bevel real quick, and you guys can kind of see here how I do it. So right there, 3 passes, and that side is probably about good. Let's see if I can show really quick. This is a hard thing to show on camera too, but you can see that's what I just put on, okay? And we're calling that secondary sharpening bevel, whatever you want to call it. And now I got to go ahead and do the other side. Make sure your tracking is even too. When you go from side to side, make sure you adjust your tracking so it's the same on both sides. Okay, so here you can see we've got about 3 passes on both sides, and you can actually, if you look really close, you can see that burr right on the edge there. See that little white spot on the edge? That's the burr up to the tip, and you can see right there, right here, I need to do a little more grinding, and it's all the way pulled up here as well. So we're gonna switch to the 400 grit belt. There's a little burr there, but it needs to be a little bit more like this. We're gonna switch to the 400 grit belt and finish pulling that burr up. You can see that burr along the whole edge now. Okay, so I've just been struggling trying to show off what I'm talking about because this burr is really hard to show, but it shows up pretty good right now. You can see it all along the edge here. And that's what you're wanting. You need to pull that burr up or else you're never gonna get it sharp. Okay, so once you get that burr really even along the whole edge of the knife, and I'm gonna show that whole process in real time because a lot of people complain when I speed stuff up, and you can see how fast that process is. I'm literally, you know, like I said, that edge was about 25 thousandths. You can get it all the way down in about 3 passes on each side, and then you're refining it. And you could probably take it up higher if you wanted to take it to 800 grit. You could probably do that. Or even higher, but with the 400 grit belt and then the stropping belt, I get really good results. So I'm gonna put this belt on. Now, these leather belts, the tracking's a little funny with them, it seems like, and maybe I got a funny one, but it says right in the directions that sometimes the tracking is a little off on them. And so flip it and see which way you run it and figure out which way is better. And it doesn't seem like, I think this way is even worse. Yeah, the tracking is just not very great with these things. And maybe like I said, maybe I got a bad belt. Let me know if you guys order one of these. Let me know how your tracking is on it. But I'm not putting a ton of pressure on it, you can see. And we're gonna run it really slow. Now, these belts, this is this is from Pro Sharpening Supply, Super Strap 2x72 leather belt. And then it comes with a little bit of this white polishing compound. So what I'm gonna do is just kind of show you guys again, bring the camera in a little bit and show you guys again. I'm just gonna put a little bit of this compound on here, just a little bit. You don't have to go crazy with it. Okay, and then I'm gonna take my knife and I'm hitting the side that burr popped on first, okay? So for me, it's gonna be this side, and I'm kind of going a little bit flatter than what I put that secondary bevel on. Not way flatter, but just a little bit. Nice light pressure. Like that. Same on the other side. I'm going to do a couple passes on each side, and then we'll see kind of where it's at, because you don't want to do it too much, but you need to make sure you've got that burr polished off. And right now, with just doing that, you saw I did a couple passes. I just got to do right there. There's still a little bit. Okay, so let's kind of check this out here. Okay, so you can kind of see what I did there. Basically, you know, maybe 3 kind of slow passes on each side. And I guess what you're looking for is just to eliminate that burr. You're trying to just polish that burr to where it's gone and you have a nice clean edge. And right now, like looking at it, I can see that just with what I just did there, about 3 passes, the burr is gone, which doesn't show up in the camera at all. But it feels pretty sharp. Okay, so I'm kind of just testing this right on camera so you guys can see. I think that you can kind of do whatever you want with this. I'm trying to show you guys the fastest way of getting a super sharp edge. So if you wanted to take it to 800 grit first before you put your strapping belt on, you could do that. If you wanted to maybe use a couple different kinds of polish on that strapping belt, you could probably do that as well, and really get like a mirror edge. And as you can see with this knife, there's a nice little shine to it, to that edge. And I think we've got about a 90% perfect edge right now. I could probably refine it a little bit more, like I said, but here's just like a piece of paper. This is that really thin magazine paper. Again, we're just kind of testing this right now. And you can see it's really, really good. Like it digs in a little bit. I probably need to do a couple more passes, but really, really sharp. Like I said, that's sharper than what any knife is that you buy at the store anyways. Yep, I'll do probably 1 or 2 more passes. I'm kind of just feeling it bite in a little bit, and I can tell that burr is gone. But yeah, I need like maybe 1 more pass on each side and it'll be perfect. It's probably right now shaving sharp if I had to guess. Let's see if there's any hair left on my arm to test this out. Let's see. Not really. I do this too much. Let's do it right here. Yeah, I mean, it's shaving sharp, but you can always make it just a hair better. But I think that shows, man, it's really impressive how sharp that is, with how fast it's done. You know, if you are somebody that's into sharpening, or you know a lot about it, you know that sometimes you can spend as much time at it as you want and kind of continue to make that edge better and better. Now, this is a great edge for a working hunting knife, and it'll hold up really good. It's obviously razor sharp. And it was done in, probably if I wasn't filming this, I could have it done in about a minute if I wanted to. So hopefully that kind of shows you guys how to sharpen on a 2x72 belt grinder, or any size belt grinder that you have, as quick as possible if you're trying to get an edge put on. And then, like I said, you can do whatever you want with it, but that at least gives you the basics. Again, 180 grit belt for that initial secondary bevel. Kind of finish it off with a 400 grit belt, and then right to this stropping belt, 3-4 passes each side, and bam, just like that, you've got a razor sharp edge. I think that what you need to take from this video is you don't need to worry so much about your specific degree of what you're sharpening at. I think that for me, what I've learned is just consistency on both sides is very key, and finding out what works for you, what angle you like to sharpen at. And as you probably saw in the video, I was kind of using my hand right here to keep really constant pressure, and keep it really stable and even across the whole edge, because I guess you can screw a knife up doing this. So definitely practice first, just like on the paper wheel system. You need to practice at whatever you're doing before you just go out and do it on maybe a high-end knife. So hopefully you guys learned something from this. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to drop them in the comments below. If you learned something from this video, make sure you subscribe, you check out all my other videos, drop a thumbs up, all that stuff. I really appreciate it. And like always, guys, thank you for watching, and hope you have a good one.